Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final round of the 2022 United States Amateur Disc Golf Championships. This is a PDGA major for our amateurs as they're playing the famed Toboggan course outside of Milford, Michigan. And we're glad to be bringing you the coverage right here on the PDGA channel in conjunction with the Disc Golf Guy and Gatekeeper Media. We've got Wes again, Team Stamp Wes. Make sure you go out and find him. The official captain of the Discraft Underground team, and we're taking a quick look. Zachary Tesone is in the lead, two-stroke advantage over Ilkin, Groh. Paul Krans and Braeden Sides joins the card, and a little bit of a lead, but we know nothing is comfortable out there. And let's learn a little bit more about our players before we get started.
My name is Braeden Sides, PDGA number 129963, and I'm from North Augusta, South Carolina. Game plan is just play like I know I can play, and I think I have a good shot at taking it down. And I know I'll be a little nervy, but I'll settle into it and hopefully execute. I came here last year. It's even better than last year. It's been a blast. Shout out to the ADGA, the Augusta Disc Golf Association, for all of their support. Those guys have been incredible and root me on from home. Shout out to my mom and dad for always being supportive, and shout out to three of my best friends who have actually traveled up here with me and have been there by my side.
My name is Ilkin Groh. I'm PDGA number 145831. The fact I'm still in it speaks to how difficult this course is. It's just so long. There are great players out here who can crush, and it's still difficult because of you gotta be throwing it far, but you also gotta land in a good spot for you to get a birdie, and birdies are so tough out here. I was able to mentally tough it out, come through, still in second, only two back. I got as good of a shot as anybody. I feel like if I bring my A game, I can win this thing, and just the fact that I pushed through some difficulties is very, very encouraging for the rest of this tournament and tournaments coming up in the future for me.
My name is Zachary Tesone. My PDGA number is 153146. Being able to compete under pressure is definitely something that I am very proud of. I've played a bunch of sports over my very long years compared to some of these other kids, but I feel like it's definitely something that I am known for. Strong mental game. I'm not going to collapse on a bogey or a bad shot. So just kind of play each shot as its own thing. Whatever happened last shot doesn't matter. Just whatever the best option is for the next shot. That's all I'm thinking about. Game plan was kind of just keep the lead. I'm playing with some great guys, but I get to see the scores. So I get to play shot for shot. I know when I need to be aggressive. I know when I can play safe, and just kind of play it hole by hole.
My name is Paul Krans. My PDGA number is 132521. Mental game is a big thing for me. I try to keep it away from the card mates and just stay calm, because I know you can't go in the past and change the things that you did. So you just gotta move on to the next shot. My mom always would tell me next shot is a new shot. Just correct on the things that you made the mistakes on. I'm excited to be on lead card. I mean, being on a film card is always fun. I'm looking to just clean up on the things I made mistakes on today. I got to throw better drives and give myself the opportunity to score. I mean, putting is looking better, but I just got to get off the tee.
And Wes, so much, well, not only positivity, but so much maturity for a very, very young card. Great to hear from them. And we're heading over to hole one, a property you know very well. What are we looking at?
Yeah, hole one, 516 down the hill. Today we're going to crown a major champion. I'm super excited, and this is going to be how these guys are going to kick off their round. I got to imagine, again, I know I've said it before, but nerves, the final round of a major. This is a big deal, and these guys definitely know the weight of this round for their future.
And that's Zachary Tesone, who talked about how he feels like he has a good, strong mental game. He's never going to really react or blow up if something doesn't go his way, and said his game plan is to keep the lead. And he's got a two-stroke advantage right now over this gentleman, Ilkin Groh, just 17 years old.
Yeah, we saw Ilkin in round two, really proficient on both sides. We saw him go with his big forehand in round two, and this one comes up a little bit short left. I'll have a long look at the basket.
On your lead card,
And Paul Krans coming out of Massachusetts. Also 17 years old. Fun fact, everyone. Paul and Ilkin just 2 days apart in terms of their birthdays, and they're both 17.
Yeah, we see this one kind of leak down where Peyton's did round one. He's down in that bowl, which is still a considerable distance from the basket. He'll be looking up the hill without being able to see the basket.
Brandon Sides joins the card here today. Again, we saw 3 out of the 4 in round one. And he goes with the turnover with plenty of distance, and rarely do you see a turnover carrying all the way deep of the pin. He'll have a comebacker from around circle's edge.
What a great shot. You can see the Flanners kind of pushing the disc that way too, and so he played that wind absolutely perfect to get over there.
And you called it. That is a blind shot from down in that low-lying area over there on the left side. So really trusting your instincts and getting the distance dialed in. Little challenge for you. Here's a step putt coming from Ilkin.
Good pop on it, an honest bid right on line. He'll have an easy par, though. That's a good way to start your round. This is Braeden's drive. Oh, and not able to capitalize.
And just as these putts were getting started here in the round, great birdie for Zach to open up with, trying to extend the lead right out of the gate. Good confidence boost. This moment was one of the windiest times of the entire weekend. You wouldn't necessarily notice it there by Paul's putt either, but the wind picked up. There it is. You can hear it. You can definitely see it. Literally the single windiest point in the 3 rounds that I filmed.
Oh, man. And this is a tough spot, too. You got a fairly exposed basket. Oh, and maybe some of those nerves coming in. You can see he was a little tentative. The wind definitely coming into play, like you said, Terry. Those branches over there are really blowing.
Well, it was like somebody else had a button for like, oh, the new guy on the card. Let's crank up the wind for him. And we see a little frustration from Braeden, understandably, turning a birdie look into a double bogey with that. And that, in some ways, sometimes players will talk about that almost being a blessing only because then some of the pressure is off, but nobody wants to open with a double bogey. And I don't conflate anyone. I'm not calling it a blessing, but sometimes that relief of pressure, though, just feeling like, okay, now I'm ready. Let's settle in, and now it's go time. We got to charge hard as they have to now push up a 680-foot hill.
Yeah, 680 feet. This is a par 4. This played as our 4th most difficult hole on the day. Players are going to look to get to the flatter, as we've seen, chew off a little distance up the hill, and then have a look, hopefully up the middle of the fairway, to get to the top.
After extending his lead from 2 to 3 on the very first hole, Zach, forehand, playing into that ultimate background, and that is really good positioning.
I like that too, especially if Zach's feeling any nerves. You know, he went big forehand on 1 and he goes big forehand on 2. It's probably the same disc. He's feeling familiar with it. It's a good shot for him.
And look at the trust. Putting that out there on the Annie line, and it's fighting up the hill, and even a little roll down the hill to give a much better footing. That's some big distance there for Ilkin.
Yeah, we talked about the distance and the control that Paul has in round 2, and it's here on display on this shot as well. He's right up there with Ilkin, chewing off some of the height of the hill.
Also getting a favorable roll. You got to love that. Guys are here for battle. Here's Braeden. That's pushing left side and not going to come back quite as much as the others.
No, he's not in a terrible spot there, though. He should still have a nice look going up this hill. Something where he can still chew off a lot of the elevation.
And that's a fantastic shot to circle's edge, displaying a little bit of power there. Wow, good birdie look. Hat catch number 1. One of many over the weekend.
Yeah, should we start a counter?
Hey.
We see Paul climbing up the hill. Oh, gets a little tree love there, and he's within 20 feet.
Yeah, I feel like he would have probably been maybe circle's edge off to the left side, close to pin high, but he'll take what he got. Now I'm just seeing splitting the uprights on the sign there. It looked like as that one just filtered through, and that will put him up on the dance floor, well, 42, maybe 45 feet. Certainly advantage Paul at that point. Here's Zach for a long birdie look.
Yeah, and kind of just gives that one a little bit of a half attempt. Didn't quite get there. He was going uphill, so that was a really difficult putt, especially from the rough. Oh, we see Ilkin with that stepper, just a little low. And after our great second shot, here's Braeden's attempt for birdie. Oh, and just doesn't quite connect.
And clearly a good putting stroke, and as you said, just a little bit low. And Paul steps up and says, I'm ready to pick one up on the card here, gladly. That's going to pull him within 4. And one of that gentleman, Ilkin.
Yeah, and at this point in the tournament, these guys are keeping track of what each other are doing. They're on the lead card. Obviously, Zach knows that he has the lead, but he's paying attention to what's happening with these other guys, too.
Now we head over to hole 3, back down a hill.
Hole 3, 915 feet. Will not play that long because you are going pretty much straight down the hill. This was just our second hardest hole on the day. So these guys on the lead card are going to be looking for some birdie opportunities or at least a par. All going full power rip.
Wow, and it looked like a little redirect, which pans out just fine for him.
Zach, I really like that out of his hand angle of the disc matching the angle of the hill. And wow, he gets a great full flight on that. He is way down there.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite, we'll say, pro tips is anytime you're throwing down a hill like this, make sure you're getting the nose of the disc down. You see Ilkin doing that. Unfortunately, that's turned over a little too much, but getting the nose down, what a lot of players do, they get excited to be throwing from the top of the hill, and they throw straight out. And then naturally, it's often going to just hook up and hyzer off to the left if you're a righty backhand player. But if you're throwing down, just like you're seeing again here, it's going to be way more advantageous. Now, you still need to have the correct other flight plane angle on point, but getting the nose of the disc down is crucial. And somewhere in there, we have got a couple of guys, they were both buried.
Yeah, that's really the one mistake you don't want to make on this hole. That stuff is extremely dense over there on the right side. You know, center or left are both good. As you can see, these guys are absolutely buried in there.
Yeah, and a moment ago, that was Braeden who had thrown out, and he actually threw backwards toward the gallery. And then next was Ilkin to throw just now. Here's Braeden. So this is actually a longer distance from the pin than the previous throw was, but he's got plenty of open space.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take your medicine when you're in danger like that because big numbers can start to rack up. So smart on him for, going with a smart play there.
Yeah, and he'll have a long look to try and save the par, which is the best you can hope for when you're throwing it off line that much. And Paul's second shot puts him inside the circle, looking at 25 or 28 feet. And this is an opportunity big time for Zach to step up and try and get a birdie of his own.
Yeah, gives himself a great opportunity for one. Ilkin with another long attempt. He is hunting for baskets.
Likely looking at 3 pars, though, to get his round started. A little bit slow.
Oh, and just off the top. Great attempt to save. Par there for Braeden. And a great putt by Paul. We saw plenty of that in round 2. He keeps it going.
Little extra energy running to the basket, and he's going to need it. Back-to-back birdies for Paul, but Zach has answered with a birdie of his own, so will maintain the 4-stroke advantage, but Paul has pulled himself into a tie for second with Ilkin.
Yeah, probably no surprise. This was the second most birdied hole on the course today. Averaging just over par at 4.04.
Yeah, I think earlier you accidentally referred to it as the second most difficult, and I was thinking, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of birdies here, and these guys trying to take advantage of it. It was good to see 2 birdies on the card. Let's head over to 4.
Yeah, hole 4, 580 feet. Good drives are going to look to beat that pine that we just flew by on the right and get up into this area here so that they can have a straighter look down this hallway up to the basket.
I feel like this tee shot's just all about trust and whatever you practice. I mean, you're really throwing blindly to a spot or an area and then just setting yourself up for a second shot. But it's really tough to gauge an exact landmark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really difficult. That pine that they can see kind of in the middle left of your screen there is the one that you either want to be on the right or the left. And just like you said, trusting your disc to work its angles that far out can be difficult, but we see a really great drive from Zach there. That's a good line from Ilkin. You know, this hole really tests you both off the tee and on the approach shot with that tight hallway entry up to the basket. Really got to put together 2 good shots on this one.
Yeah, we see Ilkin had improved his lie by about 40 feet, taking one of the trees out of play that he was dealing with in round number 2. And so we'll see what he's got, whether he goes with a forehand or an Anheuser to get up to the pin, but more distance than the previous round. Braeden first to act. And this is great position.
Absolutely.
Oh, and skips. Oh, just over the basket. He's going to be left with about 30 feet for the comebacker, but almost throwing it in for the eagle too.
We've talked about this one with that hard pack right there before the basket. You know, it's very firm. You see those flare skips, so you really got to have something that comes in at a good tempo if you want to sit up on that knoll next to the basket.
And 6 inches higher on that release, I feel like gives Zach then the skip he needed to carry up the hill, but it came in a hair low and didn't have enough momentum to skip hard enough off of that hillside. And Ilkin making quick work. That should be his first birdie of the day.
Yeah, hole 4 actually the easiest hole on the course. As you mentioned, hole 3 was the second easiest hole on the course. You kind of get in this little birdie alley, and wow, what a putt by our tournament leader, Zach.
He is going to be impossible to catch when making a putt like that. He's now 3 under in the first 4 holes. Great start.
Oh, we see that disc
yeah.
thinking about rolling away. It curls up. Great
Ilkin.
birdie for Ilkin.
Yeah, officially on the board. Braeden at this point has to be a little bit frustrated and dejected, watching his other card mates all really attack and pick up birdie after birdie, and nothing seems to be going right for him, as he's going to take a bogey there. So 3 birdies and the bogey by Braeden. But Ilkin and Paul still 4 strokes off the pace of the man in red. What are we doing on 5?
Hole 5, we're going down the newly named green carpet hallway here. They planted green grass this year. We were used to seeing the red chips last year. This hole does play downhill, 480 feet. You really just want to hit the line cleanly and get something down here with a look at the basket. There's tons of trouble left and right on this one. And Paul getting all the way down there. Great drive. See Zach kind of leaning over on that one, trying to get an Anheuser angle. That looks like it fights most of the way.
Yeah, it flirted with that left side tree line the entire way, but got all of the distance. Ilkin putting a really good move on this.
Wow, these guys are making this hole look a lot easier than it is, Terry.
Yeah, just peering the drives almost 500 feet. Again, distance isn't as much of a factor, but you almost, I feel like, get too excited. You're like, okay, I just got to punch this gap. I know I can get all the way there. Sometimes I think players a little anxious for it. And that one pushing up that right side still should be an easy up and down, or maybe even a long look for birdie.
Yeah, we go from 2 of the easiest holes on the course to hole 5 here, which was the 3rd most difficult, playing about a half stroke over par, similar to other days. Braeden elects to kind of just pitch that one up. He's had some putting woes here to start, so he's looking to just give himself a spot to get a confident putt in there, get one under the belt. And a long look from Paul.
After, 3 consecutive birdies, is looking at a par here on 5. Zach trying to extend the lead more. And the straddle hyzer just off the mark. Meanwhile, Ilkin in great position. We saw him miss a birdie opportunity in round 2. Oh, look at that. The no-look birdie drop. He knew it right out of his hand.
Yeah, he's feeling confident. When you see that from a player, you know that they're feeling what we like to call dialed in.
Man, I love birdies. I need to watch it go in. There's no way I'm looking away from a possible birdie to go into the basket. But maybe Ilkin's just bored with him. I don't know. He's like, I don't need to see that. I got this.
Yeah, Ilkin just 1 of 10 birdies on the day. Gary Vigil from our feature card in round 1 also picked up a birdie.
Yeah, he did. Probably was wearing a great looking shirt too, and I love it. Be interested to see how many of these gentlemen are looking to return for D-Glow in a few months, but now we head over to hole 6. This is a beast.
Yeah, hole 6, very difficult tee shot, an angle that you're really not super accustomed to throwing off the tee up into this landing zone, and then you have to go across this ravine here to the basket, which sits at the peak of the hill. Definitely roll away potential all around this basket, and a steep drop off on the backside.
And just like round 2, we see 40, 50, maybe 60% power out of Ilkin for his drive, playing for position. That's pushed more right than what he was really attempting to do. We'll see if he's got some work to do. But Paul, on the other hand, right in the middle of the fairway, that is great positioning.
Yeah, this hole is one of those ones that the camera doesn't quite do it justice. The angle that you really need to hit off the tee is quite extreme. And just trusting something that's going to glide over to the right and sort of pan or hyzer out just a little bit for you is a really unique shot.
And as you're seeing, not full power by any means for these guys. Playing for that position. And after the tree kick to the right, we see a little bit of trouble for Zach. And he doesn't get out. So he's still not in the fairway after 2. And now, at least, even though he's not in the fairway, he does have a good look here.
When he elects for the overhand.
And that pushes to the right side. I'm guessing he's still going to have some obstruction between him and the pin.
Surprised to not see him go with the forehand. We've seen that he's a really proficient forehand thrower.
Yeah, I concur. I was very much anticipating a forehand shot, and something about it must not have lined up well for him, as Ilkin trying to get to that hillside where the basket is located.
You see Paul with a really good drive here. You can see that hallway to the basket is really squared up for him.
Yeah, and I can't stress it enough as he throws a perfect shot.
Wow.
That's the type of shot where a forehand is so crucial. You can be proficient at a turnover mid-range shot, but the forehand is just so much easier. Now, I see where Braeden is. A backhand, yeah, most of your skilled players have no problem with that. But if you're in Paul's position, getting up and down and parking it the way he did is nearly impossible with a backhand. So big props to the incredible skills these guys are all bringing out here.
And Zach is still battling this hole, but he gets himself up on the green there. Have a really good look. That's going to be a scary putt. You see a lot of airspace and a steep hillside. He's been putting great, though. And Ilkin content with just laying one up there. Oh, and a great putt just to limit it to a bogey for Zach. That's really well done.
Thinking back over the last, almost 27 holes I've seen him, I've never seen him not convert from inside the circle. I mean, he's just been so solid. Yeah, we saw in the previous hole, he had a look from outside of the circle and he didn't capture it, but everything inside the circle, it keeps me thinking about, okay, these are championship quality putts for sure, and confidence as we head over to another beautiful fairway here on 7.
Yeah, players are going to be looking to throw across that low-lying area to the flat about where we are so that they can have a straight look at attacking this basket with either a forehand or a backhand. Again, a common theme out here. This basket sits right at a central point on that little knoll. Paul with a solid drive. He lands himself in the middle. He's just on the downslope of that hill, though, so his second shot will be a little bit more difficult than opposed if he was maybe 10 or 15 more feet forward.
And that is trouble. Early release there by Braeden, then gets a nasty kick off to the left side. And just being brutally honest, I've never seen anyone over there, and it is not going to look pretty. And that turns on Ilkin, and you can see he's a little perplexed as to whether it was a disc choice, if it was wind, if it was release, whatever the case might be. It's certainly off the mark for him.
Yeah, the wind is really tricky on this hole. Where these guys are teeing off is tucked back into the woods a little bit, and you're throwing across this really open area, so sometimes it's hard to feel what the wind is doing out there. See the spotter taking off left side of the fairway there to get to Zach's drive. This will be Braeden from not a whole lot of distance off the tee.
Yeah, and unfortunately that didn't carry enough. He's still not up on the platform, which is going to be punishing. He's going to have a lot of work to do from down there. And so crucial, as you were talking about, where the players land and relative to having a run up, as you see that Ilkin's having to run up the hill and release this technical shot, and it's going to drag down into the left.
Yeah, that's so common. The ceiling, when you're down on this hillside, comes up really quick there as you get closer to the basket. You can see Paul just up maybe 3 feet more and has a completely different shot than what Ilkin had.
Yeah, the fact that he's able to give it more of a hyzer or take the hyzer line to it, I think makes it that much more comfortable.
See Braeden go into the sidearm.
Well, Braeden bought himself a Metro pass. He is getting his money's worth because unfortunately he's seeing all of this park property.
Yeah, and the Toboggan really does have some teeth. Our competitors have played it really well this week, but you can definitely find some numbers out here. See Zach's, that was his 3rd shot. He's going to be probably about circle's edge on the left there.
So way down on the short left side, Ilkin was a long putt. This is where we saw the basket not treat him so well in round number 2, and hopefully that's completely erased from his mind as we're watching Braeden try to pitch out from that right side. And he's on the edge of the woods, and he's going to have a look, but the Toboggan is making him work hard today.
Oh, and that's a great putt by Braeden. He struggled a little bit early with some putting here. Hopefully that one gives him some confidence going forward.
Great tee shot. Pretty solid second shot. Paul trying to pull into second place.
And a great putt by Paul. Another birdie. Oh, and you felt like that one was just a little tentative, just a little slower pace on it.
I don't take back anything I said about his in the circle putting. He has been phenomenal, but maybe mentally he's just thinking, wow, okay, I was holding off Ilkin. Now Paul's within a stroke of me. And he saw him put 3 birdies together in the last 4 holes. Maybe he's feeling just a little bit of the pressure. And ultimately he's going to walk away with a bogey. And just like that, we are knotted up at 8 under par. And that one, no problems for Ilkin. I mean, Wes, you're from Michigan. You got to be thinking about a 7 or an 8 cut. You want a good cribbage hand out there, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we are. They're moving up hole number 8. Difficult. It feels like it doesn't feel like it's that difficult of a hole, but the stats and scores say otherwise. We haven't seen a lot of birdies.
Now, this is another really good par 4 that requires you to have 2 good shots. Ooh, you need to navigate through that first hallway, and we see Paul catch that guardian tree at the corner.
I mean, certainly one of the shorter par 4s on the course at 500 feet. Clearly, I'm not an idiot. I understand it's uphill, and it doesn't play that way in terms of 500 feet, but
Yes, sir.
and Ilkin is pumped. He's made the gap, something he struggled with in previous rounds.
Yeah, I can tell you, Terry, you get kind of into the midsection at an AM major here, and despite that hallway being a solid probably 25 feet wide, it looks a lot smaller at this point in the round.
Oh, lovely.
Well, if I had a nickel for every time that tree was tagged, wow. So some struggles here, but Paul not such a bad lie, all things considering.
Yeah, we see that big forehand. You know, surprisingly, hole 8 here was our 5th easiest hole, playing just over par at 4.08. Again, you had touched on the distance at 500 feet, although you're climbing up the hill a solid 75 or 80 feet additionally. Kind of seeing this little left side window that I think has sort of naturally cleared out from a lot of shots filtering there. You get punished big time with the lack of distance off the tee.
Yeah, this is one of those scenarios, and of course, I feel like it could be said on a lot of holes at this course in particular. But if you don't have a good tee shot, you're immediately then settling for the par at best. There's not enough power sometimes to attack if you're out of position off the tee. And Ilkin was in good position, but just didn't fully commit to the turn and to the power of that shot, which you said it in round 2. A lot of discs will really stall out when thrown as a backhand up this hillside.
Yeah, and from several years past, this basket moved a little bit up the hill and more to the right to make that angle that you need to achieve to get up there even more difficult. We see these guys pitching it up here.
Zachary trying to make a few fireworks from way back.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to if you have a good, confident forehand. You got the backstop there with the hillside. Ilkin a little bummed to not cash that one in. It looks like he really wanted it.
Light breeze, still not the extent that we saw on hole 1, but a little bit of a breeze. We talked about it this hole, along with hole 12. Also, some of the more exposed holes up on this hillside along the road, and just not a lot of trees around them.
Nice par save by Braeden there.
Yeah, anyone out of position, getting up and down, still walking away with a 4. Not too bad here on hole number 8. Ilkin will run up and tap in.
Just kept telling myself, you know, one shot at a time, just worry about your shot and not anything else.
What a shot. Here's Dickerson.
You can't control what anybody else does, so.
That was incredible when he needed it most.
Two-time major champion, Chris Dickerson.
What are they doing on 9?
Yeah, hole 9, a little bit of a change from years past. You're going down the hill off the tee shot. You kind of want something that flips to flat. We've seen a common landing spot being left on this one as something tends to hyzer out on these players. And if you overpower something, you can end up on the right, which we've seen as danger. It looks like Paul going with a nice controlled drive.
Yeah, finding them just past the picnic table there on that right side. May or may not have a look for the birdie, but definitely in par range. It's easy for things to get squirrely and out of control here on this tee shot.
Yeah, and Ilkin looks like he's turned that one over on the right side, and that's definitely the thickest part of this hole. You can see it just really gnarly over there.
And this is part of the danger I was just speaking of. You get something up, if the flight plate is exposed, and then next thing you know, it's just going to hyzer off to that left side. Thankfully, this event is well equipped with a ton of spotters and amazing volunteers and sponsors and everyone else, because spotters are certainly crucial out here, and they were working hard. So we'll see if maybe Zach will tip his hat to them even with this drive. No, he holds it on, but I'll tip my hat to them. Oh, not a bad tree hit.
Not at all. Keeps him in the middle cut there.
This is from the deep left side of the fairway.
And a great approach from Braeden. It feels like he's kind of righted the ship here.
Yeah, at this point, really just playing for position and trying to have a solid finish here at the major. He's certainly out of contention to the other three that are putting on a show here. Zach feeling some pressures, but cashes that in.
And that's a great putt after the last one. We saw him missed it, so to cash that one, really good.
Solid, and knows he'll be maintaining the lead with that putt, knowing Paul's pitched out. And I got to say, go ahead.
I was going to say, we see Ilkin up there a little farther than I thought. He wasn't quite in all the danger.
And I was going to say about Ilkin, his dad was on the bag. Super positive, helpful to the entire card. Also, Paul's dad on the bag. Awesome to see. So much love and support out there. And speaking of love and support, thank you, Wes. You've been out here grinding, helping with the commentary. Big shout out to everyone at Discraft, as well as our PDGA major crew and all of the crew on site, including Justin there, who's walking through getting some great photos, and Nick and everyone else, and Crew 42. So, Zach, right now, still your leader, 1-stroke advantage over Paul, who has a 1-stroke advantage over Ilkin. It's been a pleasure, Wes. We'll see you in the back nine.